We're now joined by Dr. Ben Dworkin, director of the Rowan Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship. Good to see you, Doctor.
Good to see you, Steve. Good to be back.
You got it. We had an election on November the 7th, 2023. All 120 seats in the state legislature are up. Democrats picked up seats in the Senate and the Assembly. Forget about the polling, the politics locally or otherwise. What issues mattered, Ben, in that race, and why did the Democrats gain more seats?
Well, I think what we saw is that the Republicans ran on a number of very cutting issues that had really percolated over the last, up into the public consciousness over the last 6 months. They were talking about dead whales. They were talking about issues involving students and schools. They were talking about gas stoves. A lot of these things ginned up some of that Republican base. And in a low turnout election, as was expected, that might have pulled it out. But what we found is that the Democratic issues that they primarily focused on, the AA battery, as I call it, affordability and abortion, and they were really the two moving forces and generated far more. Nobody really expected the kind of Democratic sweeping victories that we saw. I think most people like me thought, all right, can win a few, they can lose a few. We'll see where we are, maybe even end up in the exact same place where we were the day before the election. But to see the Democrats win several seats in the legislature, really and the Republicans effectively shutting out the Republicans. It's like pitching a shutout in the World Series. This was really something that was surprising. And I think it was those issues of affordability and abortion that made the difference.
Yes, it's interesting, Ben. You mentioned the dead whales, right? And a lot of Republicans, particularly down the Jersey Shore, said, look, Governor Murphy's clean energy program, which had a lot to do with wind energy, Ørsted, the largest wind energy producer in the world, I believe, Ben, pulls out of the New Jersey project. The question becomes, and they have these wind turbines that they're building. You know, those dead whales are because of the wind turbines. We don't even know if that's true or not. Did you think the Republicans counted on that issue, particularly down the Jersey Shore, influencing people saying, yeah, the Democrats and Murphy are responsible for dead whales, which sounds compelling. We don't even know if it's true or not. Did they overestimate the value of that, Ben?
I think they overestimated, yes, the value of it. It clearly did not resonate enough. The fact is, the Republicans, largely in terms of legislature, controlled the Jersey Shore. I mean, everybody
until you get County voted for Trump. Huge. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Right. Until you get to one district, District 11, which was obviously a very competitive. That was where the only Democrat representing the shore, Senator Vin Gopal.
And his two assembly candidates won too.
Exactly. He didn't just win. We thought this is a race where millions of dollars have been spent between both sides. Everybody knew this was going to be ground zero. This was a very targeted district, but I don't think anybody really expected Vin Gopal to win with 60% of the vote, which he did. And that was stunning. So I think that was a real rebuke to the whole tying it to whales kind of stuff. But we shouldn't forget, I mean, abortion remained an issue there for Steve Dinistrian, the Republican candidate, who had a hard time articulating what his position was there. And for voters who are still dealing with a post-Dodd's world, the aftermath of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, this is a primary issue for them, and it got them out to vote, certainly.
You know, we had several Republicans come on. I think it was John DeMaio, the Assembly minority leader, who we were taping an interview earlier today, Ben, and he said, you know, the Democrats, they use the issue of abortion. They manipulate the issue of abortion because we don't have the votes to do anything anyway. And I throughout, without going through all the details of the interview, Ben, I said, yeah, but Assemblyman, if you had control of the Assembly and the Senate and you could make the choice, would you not attempt to change the legislation, the law of the land in New Jersey as it relates to abortion and being able to have an abortion in the 9th month? And he said, yes, but we don't have the numbers. I said, yeah, but if you won, you would have done that. And I'm not saying right or wrong, that's not my place. But my point is, Ben, do you believe the Republicans are perplexed as a party as to where they want to be on abortion, other than just saying what they really think? Because it's not a winning issue per se. Does it make any sense?
I think it was a lot easier when you had Roe v. Wade as the law of the land, and you got to then say, I am pro-life, I'm ready to overturn it, because it didn't mean much. You weren't going to be held to account. And I've written about this, several months ago. And I think many other observers have noted it too. The moment you took the decisions about how to regulate the use of this procedure of abortion and put it back to the states, you can have states like Alabama, you can have states like Texas, which are going to impose severe restrictions. You can have places like New Jersey where it's not popular. The problem was that now legislators, it's in their court. And so they had to come up with
it's real now, Ben.
And now they have to be called to account. And so people are saying, well, what is your position? And you had any number of Republicans who tried to deflect, who tried to pivot to talk about the other things that they wanted to talk about. You had Democrats hammering. Then you had outside groups getting involved, because it's suddenly, no, this is not something that is getting decided by 9 people in black robes anymore. Now, decisions like this, whether we're going to be a state like Texas, or whether we're going to be a state like Florida, whether we're going to be a state that is in tune with the people of New Jersey, these issues like abortion are really coming home, and I think is going to generate a number of folks who want to get involved, and I think that's why we saw the results we did.
Before I let you go, Ben, we're doing this program in November, toward the back end of November. It looks like Tammy Murphy's going to run for the United States Senate seat. Bob Menendez, 8, 9, 10% approval rating in the last poll I saw. Question, got a minute left. Tammy Murphy running for the U.S. Senate, the wife of Governor Murphy, the First Lady. She has every right to run. But for those who say, hey, wait a minute, where's this coming from? Tom Moran and NJ.com, read it, said, can't we do better? Shouldn't we do better? Thoughts on this? Is it a lock?
No, it's not a lock. It's never been done. I mean, that's the thing that we're talking about. We've seen spouses who replace their husband, a female spouse who replaces the husband who died in office. And so you have Lindy Boggs in Louisiana taking over Hale Boggs, who was a sort of a legendary majority leader of the House when he tragically died in a plane accident. So you have things like that. But this to sort of have a sitting governor and to have his wife, who is a qualified candidate. I mean, she has been involved in this administration.
Maternal health.
She has staked out maternal health has been a big issue for her. So I think she has a lot to bring. And that's when we're going to turn it over to the voters. For people who aren't going to buy it, who don't like her, or choose somebody else, then they'll get to choose. That's the way this will work, and that's the way it should be.
Ben Dworkin, talk about democracy and where we are. Talk to Dr. Ben Dworkin, director of the Rowan Institute for Public Policy and Citizenship, Rowan, one of our higher ed partners. Ben, thanks, my friend. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Steve.
You got to stay with us. We'll be right back.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by PSE&G, New Jersey Sharing Network, the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, Holy Name, PSC, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, IBEW Local 102, Eastern Atlantic States Regional Council of Carpenters, New Brunswick Development Corporation. And by these public-spirited organizations, individuals, and associations committed to informing New Jersey citizens about the important issues facing the Garden State. And by Employers Association of New Jersey. Promotional support provided by Insider NJ. And by CIANJ and Commerce Magazine.
Every person and organization has a story to be told. Not just famous people, but business leaders, public servants, doctors and nurses, educators and coaches. At PSC, your story is our business. For more information, visit princetonsc.com.